Nick Castellanos being disrespected by everybody. Is the NBA broken? One legend thinks so. And Colby Parkinson, could he lead you to a fantasy football championship? We're going to get into it right here on Tony's Top 3. Welcome, everybody. Tony's Top 3 right here. I am Tony Jigsaw Cutillo. This is the Tony Cutillo Show, a segment of this show right here every day where we touch on the top 3, sports or anything else stories that I see that we need to talk about. And let's jump right into the Philadelphia Phillies. Ring that bell. Well, unfortunately, Nick Castellanos is probably not going to be ringing that bell anymore. And I will say this. I don't even want to get into the Garcia sign. I don't get into any of that. I just want to look at Nick Castellanos specifically. I want people to remember when Nick Castellanos came to Philadelphia. I want everybody to remember the years he had in Detroit, the years he had in Cincinnati, that got him the big money contract, that Dombrowski gave him the big money because he knew who he was out there in Detroit. He scouted him. He's a Nick guy. He knew what he was capable of. And remember, when he came here, we really didn't know where Nick was going to fit. But then Bryce Harper gets injured, and everything changes. And Nick continues to be the good soldier. He plays in right field. He could have had to be a DH or possibly third base. And he's out there in right field, a position he's not obviously very, very good at. But he worked his ass off to do everything he could. You remember how many sliding catches Nick Castellanos had? I mean, we always think about the bad things, right? We always think about the bad things, but this is kind of like a Nick Castellanos hats off to the man kind of top 3 leadoff, because I think he deserves more than what he's getting from the Phillies organization and from some of the fans. I love seeing a lot of outpouring of the fans saying, we'll always love Nick, this and that, because I think it's great. So I'm going to share the screen for a minute. And just so I can refresh everybody's memory, okay? There's just some tweets that I bookmarked because I specifically want to make sure I got this right, and I want to bring a couple things up. And again, this is not because I'm sharing for other people. It's just the things that I found and why I felt they were extremely interesting, especially for what we're trying to do right here. So let's just talk about this real fast. You see right there, okay, the first tweet. That was a really bad job by the media with Nick Castellanos last night. We all remember this. I was vocal about this, right? He had his best game in a while. We slumping, had a great game. He had his 250 home run, and all they kept getting out to him. Scott Fransky was one of them, right? They just kept hammering home. Well, Nick, what about calling off the bench? How does it feel? They just were hoping to get a click. They were hoping that he was going to say something because he knows he wears his emotion on his sleeve. And I hated every minute of it. Okay, so that was one of the issues. It started to go bad there, when it came from the entire national local eye with a lot of people, which I hated, all right? But let's remember this. Right? Remember this when he comes off the bench?
Pitches line into left. Big hit to left center field. One run is in.
When he moves in the 11 against Miami. How about when he walks it off down here?
It's a fair ball, and the Phillies have tied the series. Back to Queens. One apiece. Castellanos the hero.
Right. Look at this in 2023. In 6 games, in a 5-1 record, 25 appearances, 6 runs, 9 hits, 2 doubles, 4 home runs. First player ever with back-to-back 2 home run playoff games. Okay? Again, we watch more. Look at the diving catch. We talked about it, right?
Castellanos is
Actually,
over.
no, this was
Let it go. What can he do? He
turn
makes
around,
the catch
turn
coming
your
home.
guy out at home.
The throw to the plate.
Right?
It's a
Boom.
beauty.
There's
Yes!
that. Right? Thanks for the memories, Nick Castellanos. And again, I wanted to bring this up because I think too many times and far too often do we simply live in the now. We don't remember. Listen, there's always sometimes there's a lot of bad marriages within sports. It happens. Guys are on a downturn. Things happen. You saw what happened last year. Of course, Nick wasn't happy. He's a competitor. He wants to play, right? He wants to play. I get it. And whether there was some bad things going on, one thing for sure, one thing you can't take away from Nick Castellanos is he showed up at the ballpark and he was always ready to go. Whether he came off the bench or not, he was always ready to go. So my hat's off to Nick. I think he 100% deserves better than he's getting in an overall basis. And shout out to the fans that are giving him the love that he deserves. Now, let's get into a little quick football nugget here. And if you haven't saw, there's a tight end out there for the Rams, whether it be for your fantasy football team, whether it be for your sports betting edges, or whether you're just an LA Rams or an NFL fan. Colby Parkinson has just taken off. Now, let me preface this by saying the Rams employed an all-new 13-man personnel. Okay? So let's remember that. You know, they employed a brand new 13 personnel package, and this is basically it's elevated all of the tight ends. That's why you see Davis Allen out there a lot too. But the one that it's actually targeted mostly when it comes from the red zone and the receiving aspect is Colby Parkinson. 6 touchdowns in his last 6 games. If you're looking from a fantasy football perspective, in the last 5 weeks, he's a top 3 tight end. He's a top 3 tight end. Trey McBride, number 1. Kyle Pitts, because of the huge 3-touchdown game. If he didn't have that, guess what? Parkinson would be above Kyle Pitts as the number 2 tight end in fantasy. I say this because these are the times when you have to get different. All bets are off in fantasy football when the championships are up. Whether it be the semifinals, whether it be the finals, whether it be the Super Bowl, you go with what you think will win you the chip. There's no loyalty anymore. There's no, well, that's who I drafted. Nah, not a chance. He's available in 90% of Yahoo leagues. Are you kidding me? How? In a tight end, you know what it is? People just hold on to hope for guys that shouldn't deserve a role. I'll be honest with you. I drafted Ferguson, right? I drafted Ferguson for Dallas. Guess what? I dropped him. 2 weeks ago and picked up Parkinson. Yeah, I did. Because guess what? No loyalty here. So the reason why I also bring this up is just from an NFL perspective that these are the kind of moves. You saw what happened to Devontae Adams. We'll see what his injury designation will be over the last couple of weeks. And the thing that's important is this is a team that wants to win. This is a team that wants to go far. So they're going to continue to be playing for seeding. They get that top seed. They get that top spot. They get everything lined up. So Colby Parkinson is going to be involved. And if he's involved, you don't have to worry about anything else. And I love to see it. Man. I do. And I talked about this when we talked about Blake Corum. I'll tell you what, like, I was just saying LaFleur, which is the offensive coordinator, but McVay doesn't need any more weapons, dude. You're just giving McVay everything. Matthew Stafford, he loves throwing to the tight end, man. That little fake wheel route, that wheel route where he runs right to the side, throws off one leg, man. He's always looking for the tight end. So Colby Parkinson made a tremendous catch this past week as well. They get him that 2-touchdown game. But Colby Parkinson is taking off. So line up. Now, let's get to the last part of the top 3, which I think is one of the most important parts. And this is something that I think we've been talking about before. It always comes up. This is on the eve of the NBA Cup. I know Charles Barkley had said it's embarrassing, but I'm not even getting to that. I want to get to one of my favorite players of all time. Watson, he was so smooth. It's Anfernee Hardaway. Penny, okay, if you're unsure, Penny was so silky smooth. You know he's out there in Memphis right now. Memphis beat reporter out there got a quote from an interview article that he had. And that quote I will read says, "Over the years to me, it's just getting worse and worse. Not in a bad way. But for me to watch, because I'm in college, I see the fundamentals and playing team ball. And just shooting all the threes now is just a little irritating to me to just watch an NBA game. No one shoots layups anymore. It's fun to watch for fans, but for guys that were pure in the game, it's a little difficult." And that was on Legion Hoops. Okay. And again, that was straight from an article from Jason Munns, who's the Tigers basketball beat writer for the Memphis News. It's Penny Hardaway about why the NBA isn't fun to watch anymore for him. And I get it. We all get it. You want to call us NBA purists, we want to call us basketball purists. Listen, the NBA obviously is fun if you're throwing parlays out there, you're throwing three-pointers bet made out there. If you're playing DFS, I get it. And you want it to be fun. You want it to be interesting. No, not a lot of people want to go back and watch the 90s where it's just pound the post, go to the baseline. Shoot. Joel Embiid the other night lived in the baseline. He had 18 free throw attempts. That's not fun. However, they want to, that's how you try. They didn't, but that's how you try to win basketball games. And that's how you try to get your specific players involved. But, right now in this NBA, everybody's got to shoot the three. Everybody's got to shoot the three. I mean, even Andre Drummond for the Sixers shooting the three. Everybody wants a point of three. Could you imagine if Shaq was out there shooting threes? It's crazy, right? But I do think Penny has a point. He's coaching in college, and you're trying to teach the fundamentals of the sport. I struggled with it, about 10, 15 years ago. I'll say 10 years ago where, I just signed up as a volunteer to coach basketball because, they didn't have any coaches. And I played basketball. I'm very knowledgeable. And it was extremely hard for me because everybody wanted to be Steph, right? Everybody just wanted to be Harden. They wanted to take that dribble, step back three. Everybody wanted to be Dame. It was Dame time for everybody. And I understand it, right? I want to be like Mike. I was trying to do fadeaways. I wanted to be like Colby. I was trying to do reverses, right? That's what we all wanted to do. But it's just a different game at a different time. And it's really hard to adjust when you're trying to coach fundamentals. So I get it. I will say this, though. It's not going back. That's the one thing. So it's not something that we're going to look back and say, wow, you know what? Penny put this out here in 5 years, the game has changed. It's not going to change. It's just not. Me personally, if you want my opinion, again, I would rather you see more defense. I need more defense. One thing I want to give a shot at, you see I'm a Sixers guy, so I want to give a shot at the Paul George because I saw Paul George digging up hard. And I was like, here's a 33-year-old vet out there, or 34, whatever he is. He's out there, podcast piece, digging up. And I think if we have more of that, and we just a little bit, I think it will, make the game a little more credible. No flopping like LeBron. We just want a lot more hardcore defense. But the threes aren't going away. I like the three. I'm not a proponent of the threes per se. But what I will say is I do enjoy if they're open or they're scripted. The isolation for the top of the key to shoot the three from the logo, I don't know, man. I think that's more like a novelty shot. So I don't think that, and that's becoming more and more realistic part of an NBA offense, which I think is crazy. And I think that's what Penny Hardaway is alluding to. Again, drop in the comments. Do you think Nick Castellanos is being disrespected? Can Colby Parkinson be the special ingredient to lead the Rams to the promised land and possibly leave owners to a fantasy football championship? And is Penny Hardaway right? Is the NBA broken? Is it? That's what I want to know. Drop it in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe right here on Tony's Top 3 as part of the Tony Cutillo Show.